Okay, folks, welcome back to Golden Age Travel Tips. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found us because today we are doing something that the airlines absolutely, positively do not want you to know about. And honestly, it's going to make you feel like you've got a secret superpower the next time you walk into that terminal. My name is your name, and if you've ever felt like travel has gotten so expensive that it's almost not worth the headache anymore, like you look at those baggage fees, those seat selection fees, those just for breathing fees, then I need you to stick with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to pull back the curtain on 7 secret free things that the travel industry specifically hides from people over 60. And I'm not talking about the little complimentary cookie they throw at you on the plane. No, I'm talking about legitimate high-value perks that can save you hundreds of dollars, sometimes even thousands. And the craziest part, you've already paid for them. That's the kicker. You already bought the ticket, and they are banking on the fact that you don't know to ask for these things. So let's start with number 1, and this one is a total game changer because it involves something we all dread, the checked bag. Now, we all know that airlines are charging us an arm and a leg for checked luggage these days. Like, what is it now, 40, 50 bucks a bag? But what they don't advertise is that if you were traveling with a companion, a spouse, a friend, or even a sibling, and one of you is over 60, many of these legacy carriers, think Delta, American, United, have a hidden policy that actually allows you to check a certain amount of weight for free if you simply ask to utilize the medical device exemption. But here's the trick. They don't define medical device as just a wheelchair or a walker. They define it as the supplies you need to travel comfortably. And if you have a doctor's note, just a simple note, or even if you just go to the counter and kindly say, I have a condition that requires me to have an extra bag for medical supplies, they have to tag it as medical equipment. And guess what? That bag flies free, no matter how heavy it is, and it doesn't count towards your carry-on limit. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I don't want to lie. And I'm not telling you to lie. I'm telling you that if you take blood pressure medication, if you use a CPAP machine, if you have anything that requires a secondary device or supplies, that is a legitimate medical necessity, and you are entitled to that free bag. And that is just the warm-up, because number 2 is even better. And this one is going to hit you right in the feels if you love a good, quiet airport experience. You know those fancy airline lounges that cost $50, $60, sometimes $70 just to walk in and grab a free soda and a sad little pretzel? Well, if you were a veteran or if you were over a certain age, and here's where it gets sneaky, there are actually third-party lounges like Priority Pass lounges, but also specific airport clubs that offer complimentary access to seniors over 60 on specific days of the week, but they don't advertise it because they want you to pay. But if you walk up to the counter and say, I'm over 65, do you have any senior rates or complimentary access for veterans? They will often wave you right through. And I have personally done this in airports like Atlanta and Chicago, where I walked into a quiet lounge, grabbed a hot meal, had a glass of wine, and charged my phone in peace while everyone else was out there fighting for a seat at the gate. And that's the kind of luxury that costs $0 if you just know the magic words. And speaking of magic words, let's talk about number 3, which is the one that actually shocks people the most, because it involves something we all hate: turbulence. You know when the plane starts shaking and your heart starts pounding and you think, oh no, here we go? Well, if you are over 60, there is a psychological trigger that airlines use to keep you calm, and it's called pre-boarding. But it's not just about getting on the plane early. Pre-boarding allows you to walk up to the flight attendants and actually ask for a seat change. And here's the secret. The seats with the most legroom, the exit rows, the bulkhead seats, they often hold those back specifically for operational needs. But if you board first and you go up to the flight attendant with a smile and you say, I have a bit of arthritis in my knees, is there any chance you have a seat with a little extra room I could move to? They will almost always move you to those premium seats for free because they haven't assigned them to anyone yet. And they'd rather have a nice, calm, experienced traveler sitting there than have to deal with a younger passenger arguing with them later. It's psychological. They want the seat filled by someone who looks like they won't cause trouble. And you, my friend, can be that person. And now I need you to pay close attention because number 4 is what I call the ghost fare. And this is the one that the airline's algorithms are designed to hide from you. You see, when you search for flights online, the computer sees your cookies, it sees your browsing history, and it knows how old you are based on your frequent flyer number. So it shows you a higher price because they assume you have more disposable income. But if you call the airline, yes, actually call them on the phone like it's 1995, and you ask for the senior fare, which is still a legal requirement in many states for flights originating in the US, they are legally obligated to offer you a discount code that can sometimes take 10, 15, even 20% off the base fare. But you have to ask for it specifically, and you have to call. They bury this so deep in the fine print that it's practically invisible. And I want you to pause this video right now, go to your notes app and write down "ask for senior fare" when calling, because that one phone call could save you more money than any coupon code you'll find on the internet. And it's not just about the money, is it? It's about the respect. We've traveled, we've raised families, we've worked hard, and we deserve to travel with dignity. Which brings me to number 5, and this one is going to make you smile because it's so simple. Free upgrades on rental cars. Now, you might be thinking, wait, we were talking about airlines, but trust me, this is part of the ecosystem, because when you land, you're tired, your back hurts, you've been sitting for 4 hours, and you just want to get to the hotel, right? Well, if you book a rental car using a specific code tied to your AARP membership, and by the way, if you're not in AARP yet, you need to sign up today because it pays for itself in one trip. You get a free class upgrade, so you're paying for the economy compact car, but when you walk out to the lot, they hand you the keys to an SUV or a convertible. And they do that because they know the psychological comfort of a senior driving a larger, safer, more comfortable vehicle reduces the risk of them calling back to complain about back pain or legroom. But here's the catch. They won't tell you that unless you ask, and you have to ask before you pay. So when you're at the counter, you look them dead in the eye and you say, "I'm an AARP member. I'd like my complimentary upgrade." And 9 times out of 10, they just hand it over because that's the contract they have with the organization. And now we're getting to the really juicy stuff, number 6, which is probably the most hidden perk of all time. The bereavement or compassionate fare is not just for funerals. If you are over 60 and you are traveling to see a sick relative or to help with a new grandchild or to assist an elderly parent, many airlines will still honor a discounted rate if you go to the ticket counter and explain the situation. They call it compassionate travel, and it's not advertised because they don't want everyone doing it. But for the senior demographic, they understand that your travel is often essential. You're going to help family, and they will knock up to 50% off the fare. But again, you have to talk to a human being. You have to ask for the compassionate travel supervisor, and you have to be willing to wait at the counter for 10 minutes while they look it up, because the young kid at the front desk has no idea this exists. You have to insist, politely but firmly, that you know it exists because you've traveled for decades. And finally, number 7. This is the one that ties everything together, and it's the secret that the airlines are actually trying to phase out, but they can't because it's written into the Department of Transportation regulations, and it's called the 24-hour risk-free cancellation. But for seniors, it's actually a loophole that lets you hold a seat for free for up to a week. See, the law says that if you book a flight at least 7 days in advance, you have 24 hours to cancel for full refund. But if you are over 60, many of the airlines have an internal policy that gives you extended flexibility because they know your health can change, your plans can change, and if you call them and say, "I'm a senior, I need to hold this fare while I check with my doctor," they will actually put a hold on the ticket for up to 72 hours without charging you, which is essentially a free reservation that allows you to lock in a low price while you make sure you're physically ready to take the trip. And the beauty of all 7 of these secrets is that they require nothing more than your willingness to speak up, to ask, and to use the wisdom that you've earned over 60 years of living. You know, the travel industry is designed to make you feel invisible once you hit a certain age, to make you think that the only way to get a good deal is to fight for it online like a 20-year-old. But that's not true. The real power is in the human connection, in walking up to the counter, looking someone in the eye and saying, "I've been traveling for 40 years. I know there's a better rate, and I would love to work with you to find it." And I promise you, 9 times out of 10, that agent is going to smile, they're going to lean in, and they're going to help you because
they see the confidence, they see the experience, and they'd much rather give a free upgrade to someone who appreciates it than to someone who expects it. So here's what I need you to do for me right now, because this is how we build this community. I need you to hit that like button, smash it really, because that tells YouTube that people over 60 are hungry for this kind of information. And I need you to comment below with the word golden if you're over 60 and you're ready to start traveling smarter, not harder. And I want you to share this video with one friend, just one, who you know is planning a trip soon, because if we all start using these secrets, the airlines are going to have to respect us the way we deserve. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Golden Age Travel Tips and tap that bell so you don't miss the next video, because next week I'm going to show you the one thing you should never pack in your carry-on if you want to breeze through TSA. And trust me, it's not what you think. But until then, travel safe, travel smart, and remember, age isn't a number, it's an advantage. Use it.